Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the savage, the heel of the Niner Empire that they call Grant Cohn.
How you doing, man?
Yeah, doing good, dude.
Thanks for having me.
Good, man. Yeah, no problem, man. You know, man, I'm just admiring your analyst and a little bit of every other day, bro. It's like I get inspired by it. Like anytime I see you do a platform, I'm thinking, man, I guess Grant Cohn makes anything possible for any of us fan base that think differently than everybody else.
Yeah, it's like a new lane of fandom has opened up. You know what I mean? You don't have to necessarily take everything that the team says to heart and believe it. You can be skeptical. You can understand the BS that they send you and still kind of enjoy the whole process. You know what I mean? You can be a smarter version of a fan and still enjoy the sport.
Yeah, and you're a 49er Sports Illustrated, so that gives you the credibility for what you do. You get close to the team organization. You have a lot of insight, and you're just one of those guys that people just see rub the wrong way. But when I look at you this way, man, I think of you more like the better version of what Jed York should have been. He should have been like you.
Jed York?
Yeah, Jed York. He should have been just like you, man. A little bit more cool and cocky a little bit instead of being a little bratish.
Yeah, we do have a lot in common, right? I mean, big shoes to fill. He gets called out for nepotism. I get called out for nepotism. But I think one way, and maybe he's trying to do this now, is just how you interact with the fans, with the 49er fans. Jed York is so unrelatable because he's a billionaire and he was gifted a team at 27. I'm not saying I'm relatable, but I try. Maybe Jed is trying. I mean, it seems like the last few months he's kind of changed his tone on Twitter. Maybe he's been watching what I do and thinking, I can do that too. I can do that too. Jed, let's do it together.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I can just see what Jed's thinking. Maybe he's starting to take advice from you since you're the quality control coach, man. I mean, maybe I should be the assistant strength conditioning a little bit since I've got a little bit of.
I think that's where the Niners need more help. Seriously. Yeah.
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 Oh man, this guy's not a big fan of you, but hey, he's got an opinion. That's all that matters.
That's fair, man. You don't got to be a fan.
You don't got to be a fan, bro. I get it.
You don't got to be a fan. Appreciate you, though.
Yeah, dude.
Nonetheless. Yeah. All right, man. So what are we talking about today, man?
Well, let's discuss about the offense, man. Like, what do you see out of what you expect from Jimmy Garoppolo? What kind of like receiver do you expect to step up besides Ayuk and Debo in that category? Which one do you see as a big step up?
I think this is how it's breaking right now. They're keeping their fingers crossed for Jalen Hurd. I think that's what's happening. They didn't draft a wide receiver. They didn't trade for Julio Jones. They're keeping their fingers crossed for Jalen Hurd for a few reasons. They took him in the 3rd round. They have to keep him for another year after this because he's on a rookie deal, and you don't really gain anything financially from getting rid of these young guys on their rookie contracts early. So he's locked in. They've already given him $2.2 million, and they think he's good. When they saw him play 2 years ago, they thought he was really good. I mean, there was more buzz in camp 2 years ago about Jalen Hurd than there was about Debo, if you remember. So they want that to happen. Will it happen? I don't know. I mean, are you going to hold out hope for Jalen Hurd the way they are? Because I'm not. So seems to me that a more realistic option here is like a committee, depending on the situation. Like if it's 3rd and 5, then probably be Jawan Jennings, who's having a good OTA. Or if it's like 1st down and you want to go deep, then it could be Richie James or Travis Benjamin, depending on which one doesn't have a pulled hamstring that week. I think that's how they could do it.
Yeah, like I think that's what they're expecting too high on Jalen Hurd, even though in his rookie year, I did have some high expectations for him. But once he got injured twice, I lost hope from there. It's like I'd rather go for Richie James at this point. At least he's putting the work in, and he's been a good return man also. So it's like, I think
the thing that's so discouraging about Hurd, real quick, is that he tore his ACL last year just running on a side field. Like he wasn't even practicing. So what does that say about his body?
It just tells you that he's just been made of glass or just doesn't know how to take care of his body. I mean, because he played running back. He played running back from high school, from Tennessee, transfer. I like the fact that he did switch positions because it's less injury concern. But since he's been wear and tear from playing running back from those days, it starts to hurt you a lot more.
They
But
add up.
I'm not.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
They add like when you have a bit major injury, it creates these like imbalances in your body where you're overcompensating because it's not as strong as it used to be, and that leads to the next injury. And all of a sudden, it's like things are popping left and right. And usually, you see that with guys in their 30s. But with her, you're seeing it now. And if you look at his background, he's been dealing with this stuff since high school. He's actually kind of old for a 24-year-old football player, relatively speaking.
yeah, because I mean, if you played running back and you've been used a lot as a runner, it does tend to wear out. But since we're going by other offense, who do you expect at running back to step up if it wasn't Mostert? If Mostert's not the guy, who you got in mind?
It's funny. Now, I'm still thinking about Jalen Hurd. You know, when he was in high school, they compared him to Eddie George. He's from Tennessee, and he was supposed to be that was his running style. And he can't do that anymore physically because his body can't hold up. But it's funny. I wonder if they would ever get him in the running back rotation and give him goal line carries because the Niners don't have a goal line back without Jeff Wilson Jr. Who is that back? I mean, it should be Jalen Hurd. Isn't that funny? I mean, Trey Sermon and Raheem Mostert are a nice 1-2 punch. They complement each other really well. Elijah Mitchell, I think, I don't know what to expect from him as a rookie, but I think he's kind of supposed to be the Raheem Mostert replacement next year. JaMychal Hasty looks good. I liked him last year. He looks stronger and bigger this year, but still very quick. So they don't – I mean, that's their trio, right? I don't know about Gallman. I mean, it seems to me that no matter what Gallman does, they could cut him and put him on their practice. Is there a big demand for Wayne Gallman around the league? Probably not. So I think you could do whatever you want with him. The trio right now is Mostert, Sermon, and Hasty. Mitchell will make the team as well. But Hurd, wild card. If he could give them like one goal line carry a week, you know, and give them maybe 15, 16 carries a season, but they're important ones. He could end up with 5 rushing touchdowns, not to mention 5 receiving touchdowns. That's the vision for him. I would rule it out if he could actually get on the field. They're going to use him in creative ways.
Yeah, like
also Debo lines up in the backfield too. Don't forget that.
You're gonna beat me to that category because you were talking about it yesterday or was it 2 days ago or something? Yeah, like maybe 10 carries a game for Debo. Like use him a little more in those jet sweeps and then getting the ball like 10 targets. Maybe he'll do pretty good.
Well, I mean, as long as Jimmy Garoppolo's the quarterback, you got to do that because you got to get the ball in Debo's hands, and Jimmy doesn't throw the ball downfield, so you got to do stuff like that. When Trey Lance becomes a quarterback, I think you might see Debo expand his route tree because right now everything he runs is within like 3 yards of the line of scrimmage. He runs slants, he runs flat routes, he runs screens, and like a dig. I think when you see him with Trey Lance, he'll actually be able to run posts and fades, and he should be good. He's very fast.
Yeah, like now that I think about it the way you're saying it, man, like I've seen how Jimmy hasn't been able to throw a lot of those deep balls. Like it's mostly been limited. But when you have Trey Lance, the guy can throw a deep pass a lot better than what Jimmy can ever do. I mean, like in the early years when you had Drew Brees, he did have a good solid arm, but now he's just throwing 5-yard passes and it's not like much. Like you do, like you got to have a quarterback who can throw a strong pass, you know, like a deep ball. Just to win the game.
Brady still can. Brady still can. I mean, Brady has such a stronger arm than Jimmy Garoppolo. It's not funny. Now, it's funny, like with Trey Lance, this last practice I saw him, the most recent OTA last week, it was mostly 11 on 11, him and Jimmy. And then the final period of practice was 7 on 7, basically just for Lance, no Jimmy. And there was a little Josh Rosen in there, but it was just for Lance. He was so bad in 7 on 7s the first week. I guess the Niners wanted to show his improvement. He seems to improve quickly. Anyway, they did it right in front of the press, which is always – I'm always into like not conspiracy theories, but like the subtext of what's going on. If they put the quarterbacks far away from the media, it's clear they don't want us to write about them that day. They put them right in front of the media. This is something they want us to see. So 7 on 7's first throw, Trey Lance, deep bomb up the right sideline to George Kittle. It's like, okay, yeah, that's a new – not a wrinkle of the offense, but it's just something that Jimmy can't do. And it's interesting to see what can happen with this offense when Trey takes over because it is all about these short passes right now, but Kittle can run deep. I mean, Kittle's a deep threat. Ike's a deep threat. I think Debo's a deep threat too. It's actually not as compressed as Jimmy Garoppolo makes it seem.
Yeah, I mean, he does like run a 4.5, and it's not that slow for some receivers.
Faster
than
that. I think he's like a 4.4 something. Yeah.
4.48.
I was surprised when I scouted him at South Carolina. I was like, yeah, he runs a 4.5. He's not that fast. And then I saw him in training camp. I was like, wow, no, he's super fast, really fast. And here's how I gauge it. I ran a 4.51 when I was 18. It's my proudest accomplishment. And I thought I was pretty fast when I was a kid. It's like, is this guy faster than me or not? Debo's faster than me, for sure. For sure. So he's in the 4.4s. That's how I gauge it. It's very professional. It's very scientific. Could I have beaten Debo Samuel in a race? No. Absolutely
you can beat Rich Eisen.
I could have beaten Kendrick Bourne back when I was 18. Kendrick's not that fast. But
I couldn't have beat
Rich
Debo. Eisen.
I smoked Rich Eisen, man. We probably both tear our Achilles during the race right now, though, man.
Hey, why not you issue a challenge to Rich Eisen and see if he'll challenge you on the 40, and then you can put
let's do it, Rich. Let's do it, Rich. Come on.
Run, Rich.
He doesn't want to give me any promotion. It's not good. Come on. Too handsome.
Hey, that would be
both doing our suits.
Yeah. Hey, run your suits and see who's the better one. Or maybe you should give a challenge to Matt Miyoko, see if he'll take it.
I just got to basically steal Logan Paul's entire business outlook plan. Seems like it's working for him. Yeah,
like pretty much. But I mean, I like.
Why have I never heard of Logan Paul? He's fighting Mayweather. How famous is this dude? What did he do? I've never are his videos on YouTube good? Should I watch them? I don't get it.
Well, most of his promotion is just kind of like I guess they say he's more like a cloud chaser to celebrities. Like he looks for challenges, and I guess he's got like 23 million subscribers or something. How? But his brother has the same amount of subscribers also, but I guess it's based by how they got the followers and based by the cloud chasing. That's what they call getting attention.
I mean, I like Joe Rogan. I get Joe Rogan's whole thing, but the Paul brothers, I don't get it. But I guess I'm just a boomer. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know much about them. I've heard about one of them beat Nate Robinson in a exhibition boxing match.
I saw that.
Yeah, and then I just seen Floyd Mayweather. I think Floyd Mayweather might have smoked that dude.
I watched that fight last night. It was so bad. I'm so glad I didn't have to pay for it. It was terrible. Man, that was bad for the sport. I really think both guys made it clear that they were just trying to take people's money. It wasn't even a fight. They were just kind of leaning on each other. And even before, I think it was afterward that Mayweather's like, that was the greatest bank robbery of all time. Like, yeah, just tell everyone you stole their money. Give it back. Give it back.
Yeah. Give it back.
Give it back.
Like, I mean, I see a lot of people that just want to get some attention. But when I look at the Paul brothers, it's like I see they got a lot of followers. They make millions of dollars. I get that their persona is to be like a wrestling persona. They like to get the attention and trash talk and get some people. Like that's who I call them. I call them the clout chasers because when it comes to let's say for a celebrity,
it seems like they got it. It seems like they got the clout.
One of them tried to call out LeBron James.
That's so.
And I don't think LeBron even responded.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't think you want to respond. That's probably the move.
Yeah. So if you want to pull Logan Paul, let's get back to the Niners.
Let's get to that. Enough of the Paul brothers.
Yeah, but okay, so on defense, man, who do you see as your breakout besides those other star players?
I keep saying this guy. I think Samson Ebukam is going to be a breakout player. I think he could have been a breakout player on the Rams, but they never really gave him a chance to rush the quarterback. He was more of a base player. I know that Robert Saleh always thought he was good. I mean, Robert Saleh was telling me about Samson Ebukam before he knew how to pronounce his name. He was like, Ebukam, Ekubam. That guy's really, I don't know he's great. This was back 2018. I mean, I'd never heard of him. I was like, yeah, that's Ekuban. No, that was a guy when we were kids. Ebukam. This guy is not a natural pass rusher, but he's a ferocious football player. He's in great shape. His motor is relentless. He'll be the hardest working player on the defense. And he will make sure that these mobile quarterbacks stay in the freaking pocket. Like, whether or not he has a lot of sacks, I don't think it matters because the Niners have people who can get sacks like Bosa and Armstead and Givens and maybe Kinlaw too. But this guy, the Niners have a problem keeping quarterbacks in the pocket. You know, you got Bosa who comes in a little wild and sometimes a lot of times he ends up diving at the quarterback, which is great effort. But there are ways to break the pocket and break containment against the Niners. And once you do that, that's when the big plays happen against the Niners. And Ebukam just is so sound. He won't let that happen, and he runs a 4.5. I mean, he will run down any quarterback that tries to break the pocket. If it's Carson Wentz, the way he did last year, or Josh Allen, not happening. Now, maybe Kyler Murray can outrun Samson Ebukam, but you got to be that fast. So I think this guy's going to really help the main Achilles heel of this defense, which to me is containing mobile quarterbacks, containing them. I mean, not stopping his own read, but stopping a scramble. You know, didn't the Niners lose a game? Was it week 1 last year? Like they couldn't stop Kyler Murray on 3rd and 17 scrambling. It was like, what? Come on, man. What is going? So I think Ebukam is really going to help that. Just keeping him in the pocket.
Oh, okay. But like, see, the thing with Ebukam was, yeah, when you talked about there was a player, but wasn't that one player that you said before when we were kids? It was a Broncos defender named Ebukam or something.
Ekuban. Yeah,
Ekuban, yeah, he was with the Broncos.
He was with, I think he was with the Broncos. Ekuban. Yeah, when we were kids.
Yeah,
or not kids.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
dude. We're 2 years apart, man. We're 2 years apart.
Yeah. Okay, you're a little younger. Okay, you graduated high school at 8?
Well, in high school, I was a defensive player. I played O-line. Played about versatility. I did play 2 years ago in the semi-football league, so I was I was aggressive. I even played the O-line, D-line, even special teams. I even had to go for plays and did a lot of extra stuff. But yeah, the thing with Samson Ebukam, man, he runs a 4.45 or something.
That's fast. He's ridiculous. He's this freak athlete. Might be the most athletic player on the defense. I mean, as great as Fred Warner is, he's not as good of an athlete as Samson Ebukam. So that's good.
Yeah, now that you got Chris Kaczmarek coaching him up, I can see this ceiling going up the roof a little bit because, I mean, with the Rams, they didn't expect him to do a lot. He was mostly asked to cover or read and not attack.
Exactly.
So, and
also, you know how Kerry Hyder won for the Niners last year? Like a lot of those cleanup sacks where the quarterback would hold the ball a long time. That's how Ebukam's going to win a lot too, but he's so much more explosive than Kerry Hyder, so he's going to pounce quicker.
Yeah, because he's got more speed, and Hyder was just barely average speed. Like he only had a 5.10 speed or something.
Yeah, I mean he wasn't fast at all, but he ended up with 8-9 sacks. So
yeah, he was.
Ebukam could have the same. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So if I had to choose another breakout player that comes to mind, man, so there's like a lot of people just keep forgetting this guy. I think Drake Greenlaw could be the guy that steps up to the plate. I mean, he might even lead the team in sacks. I mean, not sacks. I mean, tackles. I mean, Fred Warner will probably be the vocal point because he's going to be the guy making the plays, but it's going to make it easy for Drake Greenlaw to make those tackles. He's been clutch. So
D'Amico was just talking about Drake Greenlaw last week when asked about, who's going to be a breakout player. He mentioned Kinlaw, which I'm always suspicious because the coaches always said Solomon Thomas. It's almost like they're contractually obligated to praise the first round pick in the offseason. But you don't have to praise Givens, undrafted Givens. You don't have to praise 5th round pick Dre Greenlaw. He has to earn that. And the fact that he got it is a good thing. And remember, D'Amico's been, developing Dre Greenlaw since the beginning. That's his pet project. So I'm sure he's invested, and the fact that he's optimistic is a good sign.
Yeah, I just like the way he tackles and the way he does the technique. Like he does it the right way. And this guy was a 5th round pick coming out of Arkansas, and this guy wasn't promised anything when he was coming out of Arkansas, where it was an interesting story. This guy plays with something. He plays with a blue chip on the shoulder. It's kind of like exactly what we get at these 5th round picks. I mean,
he runs and hits very well. He runs and hits very well. And the thing is, people say he's not great in man-to-man coverage. Okay, he's not. He's a 5th round pick, but remember that interception he had against the Seahawks in zone over his shoulder? Yep. He's pretty good, man.
He read the play pretty well on that.
He sure did.
Yeah.
Sure did.
And that tackle on Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that tackle on Seattle goes down as a legendary play. I mean,
Niners don't make it to the Super Bowl without that.
Yeah. Somebody was telling me that play kind of reminds them of that Buns tackle from that Super Bowl against the Bengals, where he wore the same exact number.
Yep. Yeah. Good call.
Yeah. So, okay. So who you think is more of a bigger body receiver compared to? I know that Jalen Hurts is like taller, but who you think is more bulkier? You think Jennings is?
Oh, Hurd is 6'4", 230. Jennings is 6'3", 212. Jennings is lean. Jennings looks yoked, but he looks yoked and lean. I mean, 6'3", 210 is good. Kendrick Bourne was 6'1", 205. So Jennings is bigger than Kendrick Bourne. Jalen Hurd is built like almost like a tight end. Almost like a tight end. He's way different. And they could use him at fullback sometimes. And probably they could put him at almost any position on the offense. And I think that's what Kyle Shanahan said, that Hurd is the only player he's ever evaluated that legitimately could have gotten drafted in the NFL at 3 different positions: running back, wide receiver, tight end. So he's unique. I mean, if he could ever actually play.
Yeah, jack of all trades is what I've heard about this guy. They say he can play tight end, receiver, running back, because he played like multiple positions in high school.
Yeah, I've never seen a player like that.
Yeah, and the guy rushed for he was even considered a top draft pick from Tennessee. And then
when he was at Tennessee, he was in the same backfield as Alvin Kamara, and he was the starter. He was the one that got more touches.
Yeah, and I think Jalen Hurd just wanted to switch positions because maybe his body got so beat up to a point to where maybe I need to be cautious and take the route where I get paid more.
That's the thing. Everyone knows where the money is. It's not a running back.
So, okay, why not put Hurd at tight end?
They got to get Hurd on the field before he can put him in any position, man. He tore his ACL running on a side field.
Yeah. I would think that might be the cautious thing for Hurd, is maybe playing tight end. Maybe he won't have to do too much, mostly as a blocker, catch some short passes. But I think we already are good at tight end. We got the Yoke Dwelly, man. Come on.
I like
that's
Dwelly,
your favorite player.
No, I mean, if you think about like how Jordan Reed was used last year, like they didn't ask him to block hardly ever because he can't. So you call him a tight end. He was a slot receiver, basically. You know, he would line up flexed out and not with his hand in the dirt. And he would run routes. So Hurd could kind of do the same thing that Jordan Reed did. Call him a tight end if you want. It does. He's basically a slot receiver.
Yeah, because I mean, Jordan Reed he just knew how to separate. He knew how to it was kind of like the way he was playing the game. It was like playing NBA basketball, breaking ankles and just running out of the routes.
But man, in training camp, in those one-on-one drills where he would just be him against a safety, he was the best. He was better than Kittle at that. But that just shows you that that's not exactly everything in football. You know, there's also once you catch the ball, how does your body handle the contact? And we already knew where Reed was at with there.
Yeah. So now that we're talking about tight ends, man.
Hold on, are you wearing Buckner or Kinlaw right now, or Alden?
No, it's Alden. I'm going back old fashioned, even though because I haven't bought a 99. I didn't even buy a Buckner jersey because I wasn't sure if he was going to stay put. But Alden had the expectation. He had the pressure. So he produced. He broke the record. He broke Reggie White's record for those first 2 years or something like that.
Yeah, it's
true.
Was
dominant. 19 and a half sacks.
I know. That. Wild.
Dude,
people love Nick Bosa, but they don't remember 19 and a half. And the thing about Alden Smith, he had those 36-inch arms. So when he got close, he didn't miss. Bosa has those short arms. So he's constantly having to dive and stuff, which is great. But he's just not Alden Smith.
Yeah, Alden Smith was he just had he had the long arms. But what do you think of Arden Key? You think there's similarities between him and Alden Smith a little bit?
Yeah, it's funny. They have Arden Key's number 90. What is he? No, he's 96, 98. Okay, so 98. And he's tall. He looks interesting. I mean, but Deion Jordan always looked great too. Like Deion Jordan on a practice field, man, this guy should be how is he not good at football? I don't get it. So I don't know. Look, when they start doing one-on-one pass rush drills, I'll give you a blow by blow of that. I'll let you know every single rep that Arden Key takes and who he goes against and if he wins or not. But so far he hasn't done it. So I'm just looking at him in his not even in pads, in his jersey, being like, well, he looks pretty good to me. But Deion Jordan looked good in his jersey too.
Yeah. Definitely keep me updated on those kinds of reps because I played those D-line reps before, like during school, all the way to the semi-league. So, dude, I had to play these pass block drills where I had to get through those tackles, even run through the center too. So it's like, dude, that was the best part about playing defensive line was I was even the one that had to take double teams from the interior line, and I made it easy for the linebacker just to make the tackle or the edge rusher to go in. Arden Key. For some reason, it seems like we did sign it like that Deion Jordan type pickup, even though he's not as athletic as him, but at least he's got those arms and those length to move a little bit.
I think it's interesting that the 49ers chose him over so many other options they could have brought in. I mean, Deion Jordan, goodbye. Justin Houston, no thanks. Everson Griffin, no thanks. There's a lot of guys they could take, and they were like, you know what? How about this young guy who was a really big prospect at LSU that kind of fell in the draft because of maturity questions, and then went to the Raiders, who have no idea what to do on defense, and maybe they got something there. I mean, the Raiders think Solomon Thomas is worth $5 million. They're clueless. So maybe the Niners got something here. Seriously. What the hell were the Raiders thinking on that one? They should have asked us.
Right. They like taking those sloppy seconds. And you know what? Since I want to give a shout out to Bay Area Baller, man, he's got some good videos. And I was checking out what he was saying about like Arden Key and Maurice Hurst, man. Like, I think we're going to make the most out of these X-Raiders into something. The thing I don't understand is, why are you paying Solomon Thomas $5 million for this guy? This guy hasn't panned out. He's at a place. Like, you put him at the D tackle where he's naturally supposed to play at, but then you move him to and he can't even, like, there's been some games where he's missed tackles and not even got a single registered tackle. And I'm like thinking, are we still that confident in him? I mean, as much as I was critical with Jimmy Ward, at least he had the ability to tackle. At least he had the ability, just couldn't stay healthy. Right. But I would give him the benefit of a doubt over Solomon Thomas any day of the week.
And you know the biggest travesty with Solomon Thomas? That they gave him Justin. You know what the biggest travesty with Solomon Thomas was? That they gave him Justin Smith's number. Like, are you kidding?
Oh, yeah. Disrespectful.
I mean, there should have been someone better than Solomon Thomas to, inherit that number. I mean, that's one of the best 49ers of all time. Man. He's as good as Bryant Young or anyone they've ever had a defensive tackle, and Solomon Thomas got. That's like, ugh. Yeah. That's like giving Patrick Willis's 52 to like freaking Malcolm Smith or something like that. It's like, ugh, really?
It would be rough. It would be awkward.
Yeah. And does anyone have 52?
Nobody was worth 52, but the one that was more disgraceful was Mark Ocha wearing Bowman's jersey. I never understood that part.
Yeah.
Like, who would special team?
You have to remember how Bowman left. Bowman got a little disgruntled at the end. You can only imagine what happened behind closed doors. He was going out after days being like, I don't understand. I need to play, because they were taking him off the field. He was getting mad, and then he got traded. What cut? No, he got released.
Yeah. So see, now that we're getting to those players, man, dude, it's like these guys, there's just going to be some players that are going to feel disgruntled. But, let's get on to the next topic of the Niners. Sure. Okay, so as far as since we brought up Arden Key, what do you expect from Maurice Hurst? You think he's going to be an upgrade over Solomon Thomas at that position, or you think he has to still compete for that roster spot with Zach Kerr and those other D tackles?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely got to compete. He's not guaranteed anything. And the problem with Maurice Hurst is that he's not competing right now because he's injured. So I don't know. And you never know like how long they're going to be out, because the Niners always say, unless the guy had surgery, the Niners always say it's mild. He'll be back soon. What does that mean? And then, I mean, they said that about D Ford last year. They're like, he'll be back. He's cool. Never came back. So unless there's a surgery, it's always mild until it's not. So we'll see about that. I don't know what to expect from Maurice Hurst. I mean, Zach Kerr's healthy and playing, so he's, losing ground to Zach Kerr. He's losing ground to Kevin Givens. So he needs to get on the field.
Yeah, that's true. So,
yeah.
Man, I don't think there's no other intentions for them to cut D Ford because of the cost of the cap space, and plus he take the pay cut. So maybe they're going to be more cautious with him, just like the Chiefs did before. From what I heard is Kansas City didn't even let him practice as much. They let him play. So it's like, don't practice. Don't worry about it. But we just said, go practice.
Sure. Yeah, everyone has to practice on the 49ers. And, they should have known what they were getting into with D Ford before bringing him in. I mean, they can try to say, well, he was part of our run to the Super Bowl. No, they haven't gotten nearly enough, not even production, but just playing time from D Ford. They've given him $37 million, plus they parted with the second round pick to get him. And they've gotten what? Have they even gotten 300 snaps from him? I don't think they've gotten 400 snaps from him. So that was just horrendous. And it's like, man, the Chiefs don't want him. They don't want to give him an extension. Why? They know him better than you know him. Just like how
Yeah,
you're laughing at the Raiders for signing Solomon Thomas. Like, what did you think you knew about Solomon Thomas that we don't know, man? We just spent 4 years trying to salvage this, and you think we messed up? Like, that's the same thing the Niners did with their Chiefs. It's like, you think the Chiefs don't know what they're talking about right now. Like, they're wrong about D Ford. No, man, they were absolutely 100% right. And the Niners kind of played themselves on that one. So hopefully they learn from that one.
So what do you think with Seattle's mistake? You think it's going to be a mistake with Witherspoon too? You think that that's a good reason for them to have a disaster secondary? Because what did Witherspoon said? That he was the best corner
The best.
the last 4 years.
I know. It's kind of a silly thing to say, but I will say that Seattle has the best DB coach in the league, in my opinion, and that's Pete Carroll. The guy knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. And all those players in that secondary are young, which I like. The Niners have an old secondary. Everyone's in their 30s. I think the secondary is a place where you want people who are 25. You want 25-year-olds all throughout your secondary because that's a lot of running. And they have DJ Reed, who the Niners, they didn't know what to do with him. And now he's a starting outside corner. And I got to say, he's better than Emmanuel Mosley. He should be the Niners starting outside corner. So they got Reed and they got Witherspoon, who, is he worse than Emmanuel Mosley at times? Is he better than Emmanuel Mosley at times? I mean, Witherspoon kind of did a great job against TK Metcalf week 17. Mosley can't cover him. But there's been other times where Mosley's been much better than Witherspoon. So I think it's interesting the difference in the secondaries. Niners went old, Seahawks went young. We'll see what happens. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of Niners in that secondary in Seattle, or at least two.
Yeah, they always seem to want to take one of our guys because I'm thinking maybe they just want them to give them information like, hey, do you know what this team will do? And it's like, it's an advantage. You know how certain teams do that. It's like, but I can see why Seattle likes our players because we develop them pretty well, but sometimes they don't always pan out, but they think, oh, we can make the best out of this guy. It's
right.
Like
they must like it, the physical. I feel like the Niners and Seahawks scout similarly, but the Seahawks look at some of the Niners players and they're like, well, you didn't develop them right. We could do better with them. And maybe I wouldn't look if Pete Carroll identifies a defensive back in that manner, someone that's being misused, that he's always right. He was right with DJ Reed. So I'm curious to see what happens with Witherspoon. I know that Robert Saleh felt that Witherspoon had the ability to be a top tier corner in the league. That's where Witherspoon's confidence is coming from because coaches have told him that. I don't think he actually has any self-confidence. I think that's all bravado. That's he's trying to talk himself into. But really, I think anytime he gives up a catch on the field, he loses it. He'll start blaming. He can't take it. It's like it's either he'll blame one of his. You've seen it a million times. He'll blame the safety. He'll try to point at someone else and go, "That should have been you. That should have been you." It's like, dude, just move on to the next play. Move on to the next play. Still be confident. Like he can't move on, and that's a problem.
Okay, so that's the thing with him was confidence. Like he wouldn't let anything like one bad play. He seems to have that memory. But so let's say since Sean T. Uber said if Jimmy gets hurt, do you think Trey Lance will be taking the starting job?
Yeah, it's obvious because they're not giving anyone else reps. I mean, Josh Rosen has thrown two passes in OTAs in front of the press. So I'm sure what's going on is basically an even split. It's like 45% for Jimmy Garoppolo, 45% for Trey Lance, and the rest for Sudfeld and Rosen. They don't have enough reps to be prepped to play. I don't know. I think like they're either both going to be on the practice squad. One will be on the practice squad. Like they're not going to play. No, it's going to be Lance.
I think the more likely, because Trey Lance is going to have the knowledge because he's already playing a similar offense, but if Jimmy is somehow injured, it's going to be exactly what happened with Alex Smith when Kaepernick took over. So it might be that situation.
Yeah. Because if Jimmy goes down, it's not like putting in Rosen maintains some type of Super Bowl aspirations that Trey Lance doesn't. If Jimmy goes down, you're already looking at, well, we're probably not going to win the Super Bowl this year. You got to go to backup quarterback. Might as well get Lance in there and speed up the development.
Yeah. Hey, this is a good one right here. I always get that sense of humor that he does look like Alan DeGenerate.
That's funny.
Nah, but people forget that Pete Carroll used to be our defensive line coach for a while. Like he was
DB coach, and then he's a defensive coordinator. Yeah, DB coach, and then he was a D coordinator. Yep.
Yeah, he has that connection with George Seifert. So
That's right.
anytime that Seattle fans keep saying that we're copying their defense, didn't Pete Carroll took a similar defense like George Seifert?
Yeah.
Seifert ran a similar defense.
That's right. Didn't Pete Carroll develop this when he was with the 49ers? Yeah.
Yeah, and they keep denying. They're like saying, "Oh, we copied Bud Grant's defense." No, he was on George Seifert's coaching staff. Look back, and then they don't even say nothing back after that because it's facts. And people forget that George Seifert had some good knowledge of defense, and people didn't like
one
the
of the
way
most
he coached.
One of the most underrated defensive coaches in history. Doesn't really get credit as being an innovator like Bill Walsh does, but I mean, look at his coaching tree. Pete Carroll was in that. Yeah. Mike Shanahan was in that.
Yeah, and
I mean, Kyle's connected to Seifert, not Walsh. There's no Walsh connection with the Shanahans. They're connected to Seifert.
Seifert. And the thing is, with Pete Carroll, he always gives credit to Seifert for this kind of defense. So anytime he constantly he praises about how Seifert turned his career around as a coach and how he was able to make that type of defense that he got today.
That's
a lot
true.
Of people are still building the defense under that Seifert defense. I mean, it came from the Bill Walsh coaching tree where Seifert was defensive coordinator, and he started building on that foundation. And it's been on for generations.
That's right.
Yeah.
What's up, Niner Sickness? How you doing, man?
Yeah. So, dude, it's like I get that a lot of the teams do copycat lead. Everybody does whatever they can to get an edge. So,
yeah.
I mean, we're probably trying to build a similar foundation. So it's like, I guess it's kind of like we're going back to that 94, 95 type of defense we ran before, but probably a little different.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus, I mean, there's no original ideas in the NFL. If something works, everyone copies it anyway. So there's just like which people are doing the innovating and which ones are copying. And it seems like the innovators in the NFL right now are Shanahan, McVay, Peyton, Greg Roman to an extent. I got to say Andy Reid. Those are the five. Those are the five innovators. But that doesn't necessarily, just being an offensive innovator doesn't mean you can develop a quarterback. Or just because you're an offensive innovator doesn't mean that you can bring together all three elements of a team, offense, defense, special teams, and create a coherent game plan that makes you win that week. You know what I'm saying? So Kyle is definitely in that upper echelon of offensive innovators, but I don't want to get to Kyle. But you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's a specific thing. It's a specific thing.
It's a whole different thing when it comes to being creative and elevating. We all know Greg Roman's not a genius. He just knows how to create the running plays and create a little bit of play action, but
North Turner was in that group in the 90s. He was always one of the most forward-thinking coordinators in the 90s, and he was a relentlessly mediocre head coach. Relentlessly.
Oh, so
got 3 chances too. At least 3.
Yeah, most definitely. Like,
I mean, the younger CBs. I mean, look at Tampa Bay this year. All of them are like 24, 25.
Yeah, because you want to have somebody that's in their youth and can build this team for the long haul. But when you got these corners in their 30s, they're not going to be here for long. So it's like
you want twitchy, fast, explosive, everything, man. You don't want to sacrifice any athleticism in the defensive backfield. Zero. Like I don't want savvy experience in the secondary. Like, nah, I just want guys who can chase and run. That's what I need. So Richard Sherman, take that experience to the podcast booth.
Oh yeah, and then there's one more guy you forgot to mention.
Kubiak was fantastic, man. Kubiak was great. I mean, really, you could say that Shanahan never really was great until he got Kubiak on his team. When Shanahan hired Kubiak and Alex Gibbs. Gibbs was the offensive line coach who basically invented zone blocking and made it. He was the first guy to make a whole offense around it. Him, Gibbs, Kubiak, and Shanahan. That was quite a trio.
Yeah, like the way they were built as a coaching staff, they just had the good chemistry in their offense. I mean, Shanahan comes from a coaching tree to where he's learned this offense from Bill Walsh, and
right.
A lot of it comes from a lot of that coaching tree. Like Andy Reid, when he runs this kind of offense, it comes from the Bill Walsh. Like
who were the innovative coaches of the 90s, right? They were like Holmgren, Mike Shanahan,
Holmgren.
Norv Turner,
Yep.
Kubiak, Mike Shanahan. They were the same
Yep.
group.
They were.
I wouldn't say John Gruden. So overrated. Andy Reid.
Yeah, Andy Reid.
Andy Reid. Yeah.
But then again, John Gruden did kind of coach this kind of offense similar too, so you can't just kick him out of the curb like that. I mean, he did had early success in his early coaching years, but now that he's coaching now,
he's a copycat. I thought he was a copycat. He and Andy Reid both coached under Holmgren, and Andy Reid took Holmgren's ideas and expanded on them and has evolved as we see today. John Gruden just copied all of Mike Holmgren's ideas and has updated them not at all. And he's running basically like mid-90s Packers offense, man. It's like without Brett Favre. So I don't know. That's how I feel about John Gruden.
But he did made Rich Gannon into the lead MVP.
He did.
But
that
then
was
again,
such a long time ago.
So who would be this John Gruden of this era? Would it be Sean McVay? Would it be Matt LaFleur?
I'll give Matt LaFleur. Yes. I'll give McVay more credit than that. Matt LaFleur.
So who would be Mariucci? Who would be the Mariucci?
Oh man, yeah, Matt LaFleur's a lot like Mariucci because Mariucci, Gruden has this like tough guy mentality, this, like this whole persona, which is so silly. That's exactly. I think I've actually heard that McVay studies Gruden and tries to mimic his speech patterns.
Yeah, and I
guess there's a lot of McVay. I mean, they're both blonde, they're both short. I just think McVay's better than Gruden. I just think McVay's better. I mean, McVay was the first guy to really figure out what a jet sweep motion would do to a defense. I mean, the Niners weren't doing it as much as McVay was in 2017. Remember when he first got that gig, his first couple of games, he put up like 70 points. And he had Tavon Austin just running jet sweep motion. Everyone's like, "Oh, that's brilliant. That's exactly. Look at how the defense reacts." And no one knew what to do. That was him. And it's not really revolutionary anymore, but that was him.
Yeah, it's different revolution, but as far
Harbaugh did it back in the day, but he didn't do it every snap like McVay did. That was him. Sorry.
Yeah, see, the thing with Matt LaFleur is people kind of questioned it. Is he just inheriting the fact that he's just with Aaron Rodgers and the talent they have currently? Or because Mariucci was in that same situation when George Seifert was gone. So I think
Aaron Rodgers is telling us the answer to that question, man. He doesn't want to be there.
Yeah. You don't want to be here.
I'm tired of these coaches taking credit for these quarterbacks, man. Like Bill Belichick. You weren't. Who were you before you got Tom Brady, man? And who are you now? You're just a coach of a team that missed the playoffs last year. And you know what? You're probably going to miss the playoffs again this year. Everyone's giving Bruce Arians credit like he just figured out how to coach. No, he has Tom Brady. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous how some of them take a lot of credit and all that.
Just give Brady the credit.
Yeah, Brady's actually been kind of proving himself now. Belichick,
is the head coach.
Belichick is nothing without Tom Brady, and I hate to say it, but Belichick had, what is it, like he had Super Bowls long before, but still.
As a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I think Belichick depends on a leader. I mean, he needed Parcells, who has that huge personality. Belichick's a geek. Belichick's a nerd. Belichick's a defensive coordinator. I mean, honestly, he's a lot like someone else I can think of. But anyway, Belichick's a coordinator. And Tom Brady is the alpha male leader, always was, and he is again. And I think they were a great team. But it's so much easier to replace the Belichick part. There's a lot of clever nerds out there that know X's and O's. How many people can step in front of a team of professional football players and speak with the type of authority that Tom Brady can? Zero.
Yeah.
Zero.
So I guess zero. Yeah. But
zero.
See, zero.
When he talks football, there's no one else in the world that you would want to listen to. I mean, you have to shut up and listen when Tom Brady talks. Have to. Peyton Manning would have to. Bill Belichick would have to. Tom's talking.
Yeah, listen to the guy. He knows what he's doing. He's a leader. And if you don't take his actions seriously, like what he did to that offensive lineman on national television, they listen. That's
no one's ever played more than Tom Brady. No one's ever won more than Tom Brady. Tom Brady is, he is Socrates of football. You just listen when he talks. Imagine having that guy on your team, being able to address the entire team, address specific players. And Kyle didn't want it. All right, well, we'll see what Trey Lance how he does.
I just hope that Trey Lance is able to pick his brains with Jimmy Garoppolo's type of student of the game, like be more successful, but then pick up the brains of Tom Brady a little more. Like, I like the fact that he was communicating with the offensive lineman and doing audibles, kind of like a Peyton Manning, but comes from the same college as Carson Wentz. I mean,
right.
I do see this guy excelling, and I hope for the best. I mean, I don't think it's the wrong choice because you want to elevate your offense. You don't want to just have a regular stationary quarterback. It's just like, okay.
Well, hey, man, Tom Brady isn't exactly a regular stationary quarterback. But no, I see what you're saying. More. And when the Niners passed on Brady, it wasn't there because they were like, hey, well, we're going to get Trey Lance next year. So let's just chill on that. But no, I like Trey Lance. He's good. And he may end up having a 20-year career with the Niners, and it could be the right choice. Yeah. Because theoretically, he could still be the quarterback of this team when Tom Brady's 60, theoretically.
I mean, this guy, he's ageless as they come, but man, dude, it just annoys me because he keeps going to the championship, and it's nothing to do with hating the guy. You got to admire the fact that he is the best of this decade, and it's hard to dispute that. I mean, can you name any?
But people always nitpick with him. I'd be like, man, he didn't throw for that many yards in the NFC Championship game. He didn't do much he's so lucky. How could he be lucky forever? How could he be lucky for 20 years? I mean, you can nitpick whatever his numbers were and compare him to Joe Montana, but when I think the way to appreciate Tom Brady is to think of him as the head coach of the team. It's all three phases with him. It's not just him playing quarterback. That's Rodgers. Rodgers is the guy who's concerned with himself and has great numbers, and when he loses, he can be like, well, it wasn't my fault. Brady doesn't take that. Brady makes sure he wins because he is the head coach of the team. That's how you appreciate Brady. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and Brady sets the standard when it comes to a certain player. Like if somebody on defense screws up, he might be one of those guys that comes into the sideline and spats him and tell him, "Hey, do it right." Or
whereas Rodgers rolls his eyes and pouts. It's like, yeah, say something, make a change. You want to be Tom Brady. Tom Brady wouldn't pout and be like, I would have won, but these guys are ruining it for me. No, man. Tom Brady just gets in the guy's face and be like, this is what we're doing. You're messing it up for me. This is what we're doing now. Rodgers, why can't you do that? That's why I have so much respect for Tom Brady. And Jimmy, mean, Jimmy is like, it just seems like he's never found his voice. Like maybe like Tom Brady muted him and he's never been turned off mute.
I just think Tom Brady just is a different type of animal compared to the rest of the quarterbacks. I mean,
I'm a different generation.
Different generation.
He's 2 years older than Kyle.
Yeah, he is. And he's still in the lead.
Yep.
Yeah. And a lot of people are just going to criticize him and say, oh, you got your kickers winning your 3 Super Bowls. I get that part. Oh, it was unfortunate that you won against the Falcons. I mean, Brady's just at the right time. He's won the game at the right time. It's hard to dispute it, but it's at this point to where you got to compare different eras. Can Brady actually excel in the 80s? I don't think so because the hits would be legal. They wouldn't make any protection rules. He probably would have been out of the league by then.
I'm telling you, Brady could excel in any era. He would. I'm not saying he'd be as great or his numbers would be as amazing, but he would excel in any era. Come on.
But
it's not like he was a product of Bill Belichick. This guy is doing it himself.
So how would he have done if he was playing with Bill?
I mean, Dan Marino couldn't move. Brady would have been great. Come on.
Oh, okay. So your opinion is that Brady would excel even in the 60s or any other era?
Oh yeah, he's got a cannon, man. First of all, that arm strength is underrated. His arm talent is underrated. He was drafted as a baseball player. He can really throw, and his ability to protect himself is elite. I mean, now he does get a lot of help from the refs and stuff, but he gets rid of the ball faster than anyone. He finds the open receiver faster than anyone. Yeah, man. If Dan Marino could do it in the 80s, and so could Tom.
Man, damn, you do got some good perspective there. Like, man, I would have never thought that. I would have thought, hey, a guy like Lyle Azedo would have killed Brady in his career.
Maybe it's possible, man. I'm not saying he would have played into his 40s. In the 80s, but I think he would have had a nice 10 years. Yeah.
Career. Yeah. but it's
Yeah,
kind of
just because he
intriguing.
fell
Yeah,
to the
John,
sixth, he shouldn't have been a 6th-round pick. If you go back and look at what he did at Michigan, it's like they were constantly trying to push him out the door because they had Drew Henson. Drew Henson was the #1 recruit in the nation. He was like the original Kyler Murray. He also was, I think, a 1st-round pick of the Yankees. And he was better at baseball than football. And the Yankees gave him a huge contract, and he ended up being a huge bust in baseball. I think he came back and played a couple of years as a backup for the Cowboys and was a disappointment that way too. So Brady was kind of always just caught in between. I think he followed Brian Greasy and then preceded Drew Henson, and people looked at him as kind of like the least talented of the three, and they were wrong.
yeah, I mean, scouts just don't look at it. Sometimes those 1 year experience kind of does give you a good tape of what they can be. Sometimes that
Yeah.
untapped potential can be the high reward that people don't look at. Like, for example, George Kittle. How many catches did he have in college? What was he
Like
known
40.
for?
Yeah. Blocking.
They said he was a blocker. Nah,
Yeah.
look at his tape. Limited, even though he had limited production, he still was the guy that people just slept on. And now he's a Pro Bowler. He's a potential, what is it, a potential Hall of Famer down the road if he keeps on doing what he's doing. But yeah. Scouts don't know what they're doing.
No. Hey man, I got to run it at 1. Are there a couple more topics you want to hit?
Just for a little bit, but no, we can go right now if you want. Man.
Okay,
It's up to you.
fair enough, man. This was a lot of fun, man. Thanks for coming on. Having me on.
All right, no problem. Oh yeah, no problem, bro. I'll
cool,
send you the link in, but whenever you want to jump in, just let me know, and you're more than welcome.
For sure. Hey,
All right,
likewise. All right, take care,
bro.
All right,
bro.
Bye.
All right, guys. That was Grant Cohn. It was a great stream. Next time he'll go in some other time in the near future. But I appreciate every one of y'all. Yeah, there were some tough times. Yeah, awesome. All right, guys, I'm out. See y'all later. Peace.